This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
On what's happening with your favorite KFAN program, make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
Minnesota Twins immortality, one of the best hitters in the history of the team, joins us now. Justin Morneau, Paul Allen, Lavelli Neal III, Uncle Jimmy Pessis from Continental Diamond texted me and to tell you hello because he listens, and I don't know if he's here or in Austin, Texas with his grandkids, but he's quite fond of you, and I know you frequent the jewelry store occasionally, so Uncle Jimmy wanted to say hello.
That's good. That's good people there. That's
dynamite.
Known them for a long time. That's my wedding ring is where that came from. So
beautiful.
There you go.
Excellent. And I'd like to give you a compliment, and not that you need them, but and this is certainly not saying that you were never good analyzing baseball on TV. My man, you've really settled into stride. I mean, it's not, and I'm not trying to be Abner Doubleday here and pretend like I know everything about baseball, but I mean, I watch a lot more than people know, and I watched a lot of that White Sox series in anticipation of this. But do you feel like things are, really settling into stride for you on the microphone? And of course, Corey is so easy to work with.
Yeah, I think it's just the comfort level. I think it's. I was fortunate to have Dick, who was so good at just guiding a conversation, teaching me all the things you kind of need to know that make for a good broadcast. And we would talk all the time, and then having Corey come in and same thing. I mean, a guy, he's just a true pro and loves his job. I mean, I'm not sure anybody will ever love the Twins as much as Dick.
Yeah.
But, Corey loves the game of baseball. It's his favorite thing to do. I mean, so having to work with those two guys, I think I've been fortunate that, we have a good relationship. I know it's crazy to me to think of some of the other team, Detroit comes to mind, where the two guys sitting next to each other can't stand each other, and
oh yeah,
it's like they don't ever talk. I can't imagine doing that job.
Was that last year or 2 years ago?
Like 2 years ago. I think they both got fired.
Yeah, it was nasty. The thing was caught on social media. But go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't imagine going, because we're on the air for talking for 2.5 to 3 hours, but we're also sitting in the booth next to each other for a couple of hours, or bouncing off. What do we want to talk about today? What did we learn? What do we see? And so like that goes on. I can't imagine spending 6-7 hours next to somebody that you don't enjoy working with. So. Yeah. I think I've been fortunate with the guys that I've been working with that have really helped me a lot.
Justin, I remember I wrote a story about you transitioning into TV, and your lovely wife Krista was telling me that I guess she got fed up with you at home talking during games all that. Why don't you get a job in which someone would listen to you talk? Is that kind of how it played out?
Apparently, she doesn't like me telling that story. She said, that makes me look bad. If you know me and you know my sense of humor,
but
you know her sense of humor. Her words were, "Why don't you go find someone that actually wants to listen to you?" Is what
Not
she
the
said.
same thing.
Yeah, but see, absence also makes the heart grow fonder. So, I mean, that's a perfect situation for a wife, because like you can leave. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Nothing personal. But she knows exactly where you are.
Exactly.
You on TV in all these cities and everything. So that's cool, man.
He could be out of here, and I don't have to worry about where he's going.
Right.
He's at the ballpark.
And does a stupid question? Milo Hamilton, is he still working with the Cleveland Indians? Radio or TV? You know what I'm talking about?
Hamilton. It's not Milo. It's Tom Hamilton.
Yeah, yes. Tom. My bad.
Yeah.
Yep.
about the loudest broadcaster I've ever heard in my life. And I haven't, this was back at the Metrodome, and I was in the baseball press box, and he's like 5 booths over, and it's just, holy cow, I can be loud calling Vikings games, but the crowd elevates so that you can't really hear it. Baseball's a little different, especially when you're the road team, and you know what I'm talking about. My man's loud.
Yeah, he is. I'm trying to think about some other announcers. Hawk Harrelson, when he got wound up, would get pretty loud too.
Yeah, Hawk was the bomb.
Yeah, for the White Sox.
Yeah.
But you're right. Hamilton would just go into these lengthy, screaming for about 35 consecutive seconds. Explosions when the Guardians did anything special.
So from a broadcasting standpoint, and again, I've got all your albums and watched most of the last 3 games. Took me about 3 innings to find 1261 in the Comcast family, but once I got there, everybody was getting paid off. That was cool. Got the fire going. I got Justin. I got Corey. We're good. But when it comes to settling into a game at Chicago at this stage of the season. Like from a broadcasting standpoint, when the crowd's that small and it's cold, and then you got a weather delay on a getaway day, that stuff's real, and human nature is real too. Do you have to all right, here we go, and then get into it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you have to remind yourself that the energy. You have to provide the energy. The energy is not going to be provided by the fans, so I think you have to kind of be ready to go, and you have to. Just same thing. I think it was basically the same message Rocco told the players.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we can't control any of this. Just go out there and be ready to go and provide the energy, and everything will take care of itself. So I think, there was. The rain delay was longer than the actual game yesterday. So it was there was a lot of sitting up there in the booth. But then with the home opener, it actually gave me time to do all my prep for this series. So,
good for you.
So I had 3 hours to sit there and make sure I know Houston and what's going on here. So.
And FaceTime your wife and tell her baseball stories from when it used to be U.S. Cellular. It's a launching pad for you.
Yeah, that'd be about a 12-second phone call.
Yes. Justin Morneau, 9 to noon. All right, 3-2. I forgot my question.
What did you make to the first 4 games? Because I going down to spring training for 2 weeks. I heard them talk passionately about how they want to get it off to a fast start, and everything was going into their approach at the plate and putting the ball in the play more. And the first 4 games, it doesn't work. You're like, man, for all the effort they spoke of and put into this, it's not clicking. But the funny thing about baseball is this. After going 0-4, they're tied for first place in the division.
It's amazing. Well, I don't know. Everything I'm going to say is going to sound like an excuse, but they set out in spring training, said, okay, we're all going to hit on the field. Everybody's going to take BP, and we're going to run the bases, and we're going to do all these things. And they got into this routine for a month straight, and then the season hits, and the weather's terrible. And yesterday was the first game that they took pregame batting practice and were able to actually get on the field and work.
Interesting.
So to me, I think part of it. And it's easy to say, well, the other team didn't have any problems. Well, yeah, that's an easy thing to say. But I think for this team, the way everything went, it was we're going to do this, we're going to go through this whole routine, we're going to get ready to go, and then all of a sudden season starts, and you can't do any of these things that you've been doing, and you're hitting in the cage, and you're trying to get ready, and you're on the road, and all these other things. You have weather delays, so I think that impacted it, and I think I imagine it's tough. New hitting coaches. All new hitting coaches, guys come in, and then you start off and you score 6 runs in the first 4 games. I imagine, there's that. You just have to remember, trust the process. We're not going to panic here. We're going to go out here and just keep doing what we're doing. I think if it was, 12, 14 strikeouts a game and there was no hard contact, it would be one thing. I think St. Louis, if they played the defense they played in that first series, they'll win that division by 12 games.
Yeah, you're right.
That was as good a defensive series as I've seen a team have in a long time, play after play. So I think it's easy as a player. You hit the ball hard, you get no results. You try and change things. You try and do something different. And I think because you have Correa, because you have Buxton, because you have Bader, you have these veteran guys who've been around, just stay with the process. We keep hitting the ball hard. Eventually the results are going to follow. And I think to be able to do that, it's easier to do when you've been around a little while and understand that there was still, at that point, 158 games left. So I think you're going to go through stretches where you're going to lose 4 in a row and you're going to score 4 runs or 6 runs in 4 games. That's going to happen. It just stands out a lot more after the finish last year, and then it's at the start of the year. So I think that you try not to let last year play into it, and I think from the psyche of the fans and even the broadcasters and everybody else involved, you look at it and you go, Is this deja vu? Are we seeing what we saw in August and September last year? And you have to remember, it's a new year. That's all in the past. And I think winning a game and getting the good feeling going again, I think that kind of helps put that stuff in the rear view.
This is in regards to them hitting on the field more. when you were playing, where were you on the scale of what helped you get ready for games most? The BP on the field, flip throws inside, hitting in the cage in general. I talked to Brian Dozier. I remember Dozier called pregame batting practice eyewash. He got more out of what was going on inside than out in the field. Where were you on that scale?
I think it's all important. It's all part of the routine. I think the cage stuff matters. That's where you can get your work in. That's where you go. If you're working on something specifically with your swing, you can go down there and you can spend time on it. I think on the field, to me, is as much for tracking the ball, getting used to the batter's eye, hitting outside, getting yourself outside, and then watching the ball fly. Early in the year, the wind seems to blow. It's colder. We saw it in Chicago yesterday. So even standing in the outfield and watching that ball go off the bat and watching what the flags are doing and seeing if the ball is playing that way too. So I think there's a lot more benefits other than just taking swings on the field. It's running the bases and seeing how the ball's carrying in the gaps. Am I going to tag up, or is this ball going to hit up halfway up the wall, and am I going to be able to score? So there's other things that go along with it other than just trying to hit every ball in the seats in batting practice, which I think you need to do every once in a while too. It's fun to go out there and hit, and I mean, the pitching is so good now. Why would I not want to hear that ball clang off the seats 5 or 6 times when I'm taking some swings?
Yeah.
So I mean, hitting is confidence. It's all confidence, and whatever you can do to feel ready. If hitting 10 out of 15 balls and you hear the seats clang and you feel good about yourself and you go into the game feeling good, I think there's benefits to that.
I remember my question, and boy, it's going to be a super special question too for Justin Morneau. So we're worth the wait, right? It involves wind, and here's the deal. All right, so say you're playing first base, you're Justin Morneau, the player. Well, you see those flags in right center and or left center. They're blowing towards Minneapolis proper. So, and this is not like I'm going to, hear what you say and then after the show hit 35 South at Diamond Joe's and spot up on an over-under. I'm not looking at it from that standpoint. But I see those flags blowing straight at the big buildings. But then I saw a lady walk into your dugout and her hair was blowing towards the press box. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So do you need a windometer before the game to figure out exactly where it's blowing?
See, I think this park there's some that are like this and some that are more like Old Texas. The wind would go the opposite direction wherever the flags were. So it's kind of a little home field advantage. I think there's some knowledge that happens. And in this park, because there's a couple of open spots, between the right field foul pole and that parking garage and the high stands, there's an open spot. So if the wind's coming in from left, it shoots out to right.
Wow.
So and then there's ones where it'll come in straight over Minnie and Paul in center field, and it'll knock some balls down, but then it hits the stadium and it goes towards the foul line. So there's some different things that happen in this ballpark. And Buxton,
you have to know all that?
If you want to catch pop-ups, yeah.
And what else? And so
Buxton knows it as well as anyone. Well, with the new building, a couple of new buildings in left, I think they've affected the wind just a little bit. But there's a little opening by the left field foul pole where sometimes you'll feel that breeze coming in. So it's almost like whichever field it's coming. If it's coming in from left, it's probably going to hit the stadium and shoot out to right in a way.
Yeah.
If it's coming in from right, then it's usually going to shoot out to left. So it's interesting spending time in this ballpark and seeing that. And I feel like it can be a home field advantage because teams look at the flags and you just assume it's going to do something, but then you have it and and okay, this ball's maybe going to take off a little more than what I thought.
So Justin, above the Budweiser sign left field by the Piper Sandler building, are those, you happen to know if those are apartments or condos?
I believe they're both, and they put in, there's like a thing in the middle of it there. They put in like a game room, so when the game's going on, part of being in that building is you can go out.
Yeah, this building right here is apartments. Austin Martin lived in there last year.
Okay, the shiny building. I can't even imagine what the end units with the balconies overlooking Target. I can even imagine what those go for on a monthly basis if they're. I mean, they might get $5,000 a month, $4,000 a month.
You get a free fireworks show every home run.
No kidding.
It's unbelievable. Those are, I guess I didn't notice that last year. Justin Morneau, 9 to noon. Couple to close here. Go ahead, Lavelle.
Justin, after we talked about the offense, I was talking to P about this right when we first came on. I think Rocco has a challenge in putting together a batting order. I don't have any problems with him looking at OPS and giving Wallner a shot in the leadoff spot, but I just think for a manager in general, not having a guy to be in the third or fourth spot to build that lineup around, I think that's a bigger challenge to figure out who should lead off. I keep thinking that how Nelson Cruz kind of set up the entire Twins lineup when he was here.
Yeah, I think It depends on what you're looking for and how your roster is constructed. I think last year it was built for pinch hitting and interchangeable parts. I'm not sure the roster is structured the same way, but I'm kind of with you. You kind of have that anchor in the middle, and you build around it, and you go, okay, who we hitting 2 and 3 today? But we know 4 is going to drive in runs, or we know 3 and 4 are going to drive in runs, or we know 1's the guy getting on base. He might steal, and then you kind of it's. I think it's important. I think for hitters too. I think there is something mentally when you hit consistently in the same spot in the order of, like, for me, example, take our teams, right? It was hitting after Joe and hitting in front of Cuddy, or hitting after Joe and having Cuddy in between us, and whatever. You kind of knew what the guys' at-bats were going to look like in front of you. For me, it was a huge benefit of hitting behind Joe of, he's going to see five pitches in an at-bat.
Right.
So if I want to go up there and swing at the first pitch, I've already seen how what his fastball is doing, what the velocity is, and what the breaking stuff looks like from the on-deck circle, so then you're comfortable going in there. So I think there is some rhythm that hitters play off one another, so there is that to it, but at the same time, if a guy hits, if he's a 700 OPS off lefties and the other guy is a 900 OPS off lefties, it makes sense to get that guy more at-bats off the lefties. So, like, there's the modern way of looking at it, and then there's, the challenge of still understanding that it's human beings and you're dealing with, like, the mental side of the game of guys being comfortable, because when guys are comfortable, that's when they perform. So as long as there's communication, guys are prepared. I think guys are, more adaptable now. They're able to move around the field defensively, and they move around the lineup a little bit more, and I think whatever you get used to, there just has to be communication with it, I think, for the players to feel good.
Last one, the president of baseball operations or the general manager who joins us next, they have to be. These are what the rules are. This is the playing field. For now, this is what I have with which to deal. Okay, I understand that and I respect it. But from an overall baseball in totality standpoint, which would you prefer? A salary cap, a centralized or common TV share bit, even if Yes Network does this and whatever I watched, 1261 on Comcast did this, or both? Like of those three, which do you think is most pragmatic?
My argument against the cap is it's either the Patriots or the Chiefs have won like 12 of the last 20 Super Bowls.
That's a good point.
Right? Like it doesn't guarantee parity, and it doesn't guarantee that you're going to see different teams.
That's a great point.
It's being able to amass talent and being able to develop it, and I think everyone points to Tampa. They haven't won a World Series, but they've built a sustainable winner there, right? And Cleveland's done kind of the same thing on a lower budget than what we're doing, and we're kind of trying to do the same thing, but we have a little bit more money to spend. So I'm not sure that a salary cap is the answer unless there's a floor that really brings it up. I mean, but I think players, it's hopefully it's not going to get ugly, because it's something that the union has fought for since the beginning. It's the only one of the 4 major men's pro sports that doesn't have a cap, and guys are in a free market system. And like, you can't tell me that when you watch Juan Soto play and see how dominant he is, that he's worth 4 times as much as Connor McDavid.
Right.
Like Connor McDavid to me is probably the most underpaid athlete in sports.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, he's making a ton of money.
Yeah.
I'm not blind to the fact.
But it's NHL.
But comparatively,
it's the 4th of the core 4.
Yes, but it's also the one that's had the cap, for a long time. They've had escrow. They've had all these other things going on. But
lowest TV deal, though.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is there an answer to it? I hope. Yeah. I hope it finds a way to figure itself out without any work stoppage, without anything going on, and what ends up being best for the entirety of the league, as opposed to just the biggest franchises that are drawing the money. So
the GMs in the on deck circle. Go ahead.
So Justin, listen. After the Dodgers go 122-40, we'll ask you this question again a year from now.
Right,
but that doesn't guarantee they're going to win the World Series.
I understand. Oh, you know what? Your best 45 seconds torpedo bat. It's like everybody. I saw it all over social media when the Yankees hit 9 home runs against the Brewers. Then they run into Zach Gallen, and funny, I can't see anything about torpedo bats on social media. So I don't even know what it is. Last time I swung a bat was in a D league in Bloomington, and it was a D Marini. So the torpedo bat, what's the deal?
It's been around actually for a long time, 10 or 15 years. So it's not like it's something new. The bat manufacturers have been making it. The question is, if you're going to plan on getting jammed, why would you not just get a shorter bat? Or if you guys are walking up there and you see him with the bat, why not just throw him sliders and cutters away and see if you can get him to hit it off the end of the bat? So I don't know. I would probably have tried it, and then the game would have happened, and I would have used the same bat that I used for all 14 years.
Maybe choked up a little bit, something like that.
Just make the adjustment.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, if you step into the batter's box and you feel like you have the right bat to get a hit with, you have a better chance of getting a hit than without it, right? So it's the mental game, and it's the confidence. And I think if it makes you believe you can do it.
Bro, you're fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks for having me.
Justin Morneau. Nice enough to join 9 to noon. Our penultimate segment features Jeremy Zoll, the new general manager for the Minnesota Twins. That's next.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Get ready for a night of high-octane country rock. Brantley Gilbert is bringing his electrifying show to the Ledge Amphitheater on Friday, May 9th. Don't miss out on the action. Get the full details and your tickets now at KFAN.com /calendar.
Jeremy Zoll, general manager for the Minnesota Twins. Paul Allen, Lavelli Neal III. Welcome to the broadcast. How are you?
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm doing great.
And this was an elevation from within the covenant, from within the organization. So congratulations on the job. And what do you like about it so far?
Yeah, thanks so much. It's been really fun taking the next step in my career. Love the partnership with Derek Falvey and our whole group. So continuing to take on more responsibilities. My previous focus had been in player development and performance team, and now taking on a little bit more from there. But it's been great, and excited to keep pushing forward on what we've built the last 7 or so years here.
Good for you.
One thing I want to ask you about your background, because when you came over from the Dodgers, the first day they were saying this guy is going to be a future general manager. And my reaction was, well, if that's the case, why is he staying with the Dodgers? So, I mean, what was that like when we went into the decision and everything? Because that's the rock star organization everybody wants to be a part of.
Yeah, I really enjoyed my couple years there, 2016 and 2017. It was Andrew and Farhan's second and third year, so they were working really hard to build an organization, and I got to learn from so many great people and mentors along the way. So I really valued that experience and opportunity. Ultimately, the chance to take the next step to farm director came, here with Minnesota, and I was excited to take on kind of that next leadership challenge. I'd heard great things about Derek and the whole organization as well, so was excited to take that step.
Paul, I used to bug Jeremy when he was a farm director. I'd sit there and watch it minor league boxing. Wait a minute, why did he come out in the game in the third inning? Can you give me an update on something he get hurt? Jeremy, why are you asking me these questions?
Right.
That's how we got along his first year. I think he was glad I stopped calling.
Why baseball for you? Like, what bit you with baseball or Major League Baseball?
Yeah, I played it from a young age. I know it's tough to say this now working for the Twins and the role I'm in, but I grew up in New Jersey, outside New York City. My dad had a partial season ticket package for the Yankees in the 90s, so I got to go to a lot of really fun games along the way.
Paul O'Neill, Tino Martinez,
exactly,
Core
Rivera, that whole thing,
the Core Four,
that whole group. So I was spoiled as a young kid, but it really set my love for baseball, and played through college at the Division III level, and was able to take the next step from there.
So clearly the number one reason you guys moved for Harrison Bader Just went to high school in the Bronx. Grew up a Yankees fan.
Something like that.
You know what I mean?
Like that. He's an awesome player, having a great start, dynamic in the outfield, and hopefully he keeps up this home run pace, although that might be a little aggressive even for him. But It's been fun addition to the group.
Dare to dream, man. Dare to dream.
Well, he was on the show earlier, and I joked with him, but I was kind of serious, is if there is a time to text your former teammate and friend Aaron Judge saying, one behind you. It's right now. Take advantage of them. Right on your heels, big boy.
You can't miss on those moments. That's a good call.
So with your job and assimilating a team with Derek and the personnel staff and everything, got St. Paul with the Saints and the pitching's deep. Just think what's important this time of the year from the balancing standpoint. I mean, because you got so many things you got to do. Because you still got to keep your eyes, or have people keep your eyes on other teams. Yeah, I mean, so what's important right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Spring training's always, a super hectic time. It's the only chance that we're all really together as a whole group between all of our coaches, all of our players, major league and minor league side, so on and so forth. So once the season gets started, it's kind of exciting. Just now we get to watch, what we've put out there, let the games start happening. Minor league games, St. Paul has started. The other affiliates are about to get rolling this weekend. So we start to let that unfold. And then, I'll start turning my attention soon to engaging further on the amateur draft process and making sure we're lined up process-wise for our pro group for trade deadline. And, that's ultimately months and months of work that lead into all of those processes. So just making sure I'm engaged in as many areas as possible. But from a major league and minor league perspective, most important thing is just letting the games happen. Let us collect some data, some sample size, and see how things are unfolding.
Right.
Speaking of the minor leagues, the Saints team looks loaded this year. The pitcher staff, because Zebby's there, Festa's there, Andrew Morris, who I wish I would have seen pitch when I was down at camp, but I missed out then. And you got position players too. Emo Rodriguez, is he healthy, by the way?
He is healthy. Yep, he played again last night, so he's in a good spot and got him rolling here.
Yeah, for Twins fans, can you kind of talk about what they're going to see out of that squad this year in terms of higher level prospect talent there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's probably the best AAA team we've assembled since I've worked with the Twins, and the most talented from a prospect perspective for the Saints for sure. But you talked about the pitchers. In addition to Festa and Zebby and Andrew Morris, we also have younger guys like Marco Ryan, Corey Lewis, also in the fold. Travis Adams in the fold too. So it's a really deep pitching group in that regard. Position players, Emmanuel Rodriguez, Luke Keischel. It's just really exciting to be able to run out a bunch of our high-end prospects at the top level of the minor leagues and know that they're one step away at this point.
Keischel looks like a player. I saw him at camp. I was impressed. He's got great size. He's got the big baseball hair. He's got a nice swing.
What do you mean, big baseball hair?
Oh, he's got a nice mop of hair, man.
We're talking Bake McBride here? Are we throwing it back that far, or what?
Like Mike McDonald. McDonald of hockey, maybe, of baseball,
Oh, yeah.
So, and there's going to be a Walker Jenkins watch, too, for the Saints. How's he coming along?
Yeah, he'll be starting the year in AA, so excited to get Walker going here. He finished the year in AA, got a few games under his belt at that level. Obviously super young, immense talent. So, we'll let the season unfold for Walker, but, good chance that he ends up in St. Paul at some point.
Is he healthy?
Yep, he's good to go. He dealt with a mild ankle sprain early in camp, and he's tracking to be in a good spot here.
Jeremy Zoll, he's the general manager for the Minnesota Twins, into his first year as Derek Falvey's right-hand man as the GM. And let's lay it out like this. With the current climate of Major League Baseball, what are keys for you? Derek can speak for himself, but you speak as a 1 and 1A here. What are keys to maximizing the most with legitimately what you can do?
Yeah, I think, knowing where we are from a payroll perspective, we need to be really good from a draft and development side of things. And, our scouting group has been, we have a lot of scouts that have been here for a really long time, a tremendous continuity within that group. So we feel really good with how that process unfolds. Really proud of our player development group, too. So you see all those synergies come together where a lot of the guys that we're talking about that are our top prospects, they're not just first-round picks. They're guys that are – Morris was a fourth-round pick. We have guys coming through in, Zebby's in the 8th round or whatever it was, and Fessa in the teens. And to see those guys really progress through, it took – a lot of collaboration. So we need to be really good in those areas to keep filling that pipeline and making sure we have as much talent as possible.
And realistically speaking, it's like, okay, I know Mookie Betts been with the Dodgers for a little while now, but like Kyle Tucker, Christian Walker, he's not hitting right now, but I bet you he hits with the Astros. I'm not saying that you have to take a Sharpie and cross off the first 15 names, but I'm not saying you don't. I mean, your mindset has to stay in the present, right? That this is the deal and we have to do it this way. So we're going to do it the best we can and maximize, kind of like what the Tampa Bay Rays did for a while, back when they had David Price and they were getting all those pitchers through the system. I mean, that's kind of who you have to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That'll be really, the key for us having sustainable success. And, obviously we have the contracts on the books of Correa and Buxton and Pablo Lopez, so
right.
That's all part of it. Ultimately they would,
no doubt.
Correa was a free agent signing, Buxton and Lopez were extensions, but, they're factoring into that. In a different way than, you went out on the free agent market, but to support them, it is going to require a lot of, work through the trade process, through the scout and development process for sure.
Derek, he has shown us through the years at the trade deadline that he does not like sitting on the sideline. He either wants to win now or add for later.
Yeah.
Is that an organizational philosophy that follows down to you too?
Yeah, I think anytime that you get straight caught in the middle, it's hard. With the extra wild card spot, it definitely leaves so many teams feeling like they're in it.
Right.
And this offseason, I think you saw that where there were very few true sellers. You have the White Sox who are in their rebuild process. You have the Marlins who are in their rebuild process, but the A's are pushing forward, and you have most of, if not all of the other teams that are really going to try to be competing for playoff spots. So it leads to needing to navigate these major league for major league trades that can be tricky. But in a normal market where you have buyers and sellers, you want to try your best to fall on one side or the other.
Didn't the Tigers sell and still make the playoffs?
That is that in some ways that's
polarity.
Ideal when you can accrue future value and still make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They had a tremendous run, and overcame a lot of odds.
That's such a beautiful thing with baseball. When, let's say Torkelson or McKinstry starts to hit, or Riley Green, it's okay. Well, now all of the hyped ones, now they're complimenting each other. Their second half last year was super impressive. I don't want you to leave before asking you this, because one of the things that I really respect about baseball is, analytics are all the rave now. It's I don't know. In football, the one time a week bit, and it's a violent game and it's emotional, but we got the EPA and these analytics and stuff. Basketball, per and a bevy, hockey, whatever. But baseball's OG with that. Baseball was at the forefront, and I still believe the analytics work best in baseball. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that point. Just the way that the game happens, where you have a pitch and it's a clear interaction between the pitcher and the hitter.
Yes.
And then the ball's put in play, and then you can see what happens from there. In football, you're trying to figure out how all these players are interacting with one another, who was responsible for what.
Yeah.
And I know they have ways to try to do that. It's just a lot more complicated.
But yeah, by the way, one guy might have a bad knee nobody knows about.
No doubt.
So therefore he's getting savaged, because of something that's supposed to happen.
No doubt.
But it can't, because he barely can move, but he's sucking it up for the team. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Basketball, who did a great job creating space, and, how are you evaluating all of these different types of things, where baseball is just super clear in that regard.
Agreed.
And the data set is so robust, for so many years and years and years, that it's really easy to study in that regard. Now, there's still, an art and a soft science to it too, but it's really nice to be able to have all of that data at our disposal.
And weather impacts baseball more than any sport, because
Absolutely.
It's most consistent and you play the most games.
Absolutely.
And that's in there too.
Yep.
Hey, man, that was outstanding. Let's do it again on the radio sometime, okay?
That sounds great.
I appreciate you. General Manager Jeremy Zoll joining us from Target Field. Final segment around the corner. You're listening to The Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Ban. I can't wait until tomorrow.
Get down to Tom's Watch Bar in Minneapolis tonight at 6:30 and join the Power Trips Meat Sauce for a KFAN Wolves watch party. We'll have Timberwolves versus Nets live on the big screens, delicious food and drinks, and your chance to secure exclusive KFAN swag and to qualify for Wolves season finale tickets. Get all the details now at KFAN.com /calendar.
I know it could end any minute.
Dustin Morse with communications and public relations and player relations with the Minnesota Twins. You and I have known each other more than 2 decades. And did you ever fancy yourself a radio producer? Kind of the way you put this thing together today for 9 to noon, and I just can't thank you enough, man. Lavelle and I and J-Dub, we had a great time today.
No, I appreciate you guys being out here. Yeah, our relationship goes way back. It was nice to have you here opening day. What do we call this? Vox in the press box?
Vox in the batter's box. It became Vox in the press box.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I did about 17 interviews out in the cold this morning, so it's nice to be up in the warm press box with you guys. And yeah, it sounds like it's been a great show. I've been moving around, but I know Derek and Jeremy and Jace and Justin all said they had a blast up here, and then Harrison made an appearance. He wanted to meet you. He's
Harrison did?
Yeah. He
Smith or Phillips?
Bader.
Really?
You know, they call them Bader tots too. You know, it's
they do.
Yeah, so
beats the alternative.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I'll read that later.
You're getting to meet some good people, and I'm glad that we were able to pull this off.
Well, quite honestly, D. Morse, I'm really happy you guys won the last 2 games because we had this Vox in the batter's box planned for a little while. You were excited about it. I was excited about it, and then there was that 9-0, and I'm like, wow, holy cow, the timing on this thing's just unbelievably good. But then we put up some crooked numbers, and everything was good.
Oh, you're telling me as a PR guy, it's nice to walk into Target Field here and say, hey, we've won 2 in a row. That's a winning streak, and oh, by the way,
big time.
We're tied for first place.
Well, now we got to track the record on which PA.
Come on,
the Twins' record on the day there's a Vox in the press box.
Yeah, and Dustin via Twitter is at Morse Code. Follow him like 9 to noon does if you're so inclined. I mean, you and I know each other well enough that, I can joke with you like this, but in the marathon, not sprint game, with all due respect, but there's a little talking out of both sides of the mouth occasionally. It's like, out of the one side, we don't want to talk about how bad the hitting was the first 4.5 games, but after 6 or whatever it is, how many are we going to do it now? 6. Yeah. Well, we're tied we're in first place. Yeah, you only have 156 to go.
Somebody told me like this
or
is
155.
Let's say in Vikings terms here, this would be the first half of the first game.
Yeah.
So it's early.
Yeah.
And you fall behind a few, and you kind of, oh boy, you never want to start 0-4 for sure. I mean, that was. You kind of rewrite your talking points for breakfast on the plaza.
Let's not forget. I think the Twins started 7-13 last year, and they won 12 consecutive games.
Yeah. I mean, certainly that's baseball. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. But what are you gonna do with that batch in the middle? And that's where we feel we got a good team. You know, you see the pitching with Pablo yesterday, Joe Ryan today. He's as cool as they come. Bailey Over.
My brother. What we fortified today was fantastic.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen without you. God bless you and your family, and thank you. And I look forward to much more to come, okay?
Yeah, privileged to close this out.
Yep.
Thanks,
See
guys.
you, bud. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Happy
Bye-bye.
home opener, everyone.
Back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.